Good evening. You're watching News Plus right here on Z10 Prime. I'm Wadanai Sansole. It is the first week of June, and here's to hoping you started it off on a good note. These are your headlines. President Mnangagwa has emphasized that artificial intelligence should be leveraged to bridge the gap between citizens and legislators, enhancing public engagement and representation. Stay tuned for highlights of his speech at the official opening of the 57th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC Parliamentary Forum in Victoria Falls earlier today. Outrage, anger. These two words best describe the feeling among residents in Harare's Bluffhill suburb following the fatal attack on a 39-year-old man by a vicious pit bull at the weekend. Our team visited the area earlier today and spoke to residents and the deceased relatives. Zimbabwe records significant drop in maternal deaths. And in sport, Warriors touchdown in Casablanca. And now for a closer look at the stories making the headlines tonight. President Mnangagwa says governments must incorporate in their systems the fourth industrial revolution, which is anchored on the increased impact of artificial intelligence. The president believes this will help foster economic and technological development. He was speaking at the official opening of the 57th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC Parliamentary Forum in Victoria Falls earlier today. Sharon Munjenjema is in the resort city with more details.
Artificial intelligence is transforming the world, and SADC parliaments are gathering in Victoria Falls to chart its course for the region. At the opening of the SADC Parliamentary Forum Assembly, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, the SADC chairperson, called on regional parliaments to harness the benefits of artificial intelligence. He also cautioned that its adoption must enhance and not compromise democracy.
At a national scale, the adoption of artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies must enhance rather than compromise the integrity and independence of our democratic institutions. To this end, measures must be put in place to deal with issues of cybersecurity, data protection, digital sovereignty, and the potential for technological dependency, among others.
President Mnangagwa emphasized that artificial intelligence should be leveraged to bridge the gap between citizens and legislators, enhancing public engagement and representation. He called on regional lawmakers to develop AI frameworks that are tailored to the SADC region's unique needs rather than simply replicating global models.
Additionally, technology can bridge the gap between parliamentarians and citizens in our geographically dispersed constituencies. This will enable more direct and frequent interaction, thereby improving representation, accountability, and involvement of grassroots communities in parliamentary processes.
This is the sixth time Zimbabwe has hosted the SADC Parliamentary Forum. Zimbabwe Speaker of Parliament Jacob Mudenda said President Mnangagwa's remarks have set the tone for the deliberations that will follow. Advocate Mudenda added that the president's comments will guide the debate and framework development.
The 57th Parliamentary Plenary Assembly looks forward towards the guidance of our guest of honor and the outcome of the said symposium on how best to navigate the employment of artificial intelligence and innovation in our parliamentary processes.
The 57th Plenary Assembly of the SADC Parliamentary Forum concludes on June 7. Debates on artificial intelligence application will be expected in the next few days to come. Artificial intelligence could be a game changer for efficiency and data-driven decision-making. As SADC parliaments explore its potential, eyes are on the legislative bodies to ensure that they create laws that encourage its transparent adoption that also benefits citizens. Reporting for ZTN News in Victoria Falls, I'm Sharon Munjenjema.
SADC member states have been implored to work towards the implementation of a number of resolutions and agreements for the bloc to remain economically relevant globally. Officiating at the 34th Committee of Ministers of Trade and the 24th Ministerial Task Force on Regional Integration at the new Parliament building in Mount Hampden today, SADC senior officials, Chairperson and Secretary for Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Ambassador Albert Chimbindi, said member states must strive to prioritize critical trade facilitation and eliminate trade barriers.
I, therefore, call upon all member states and our secretariat to redouble efforts towards the full and timely implementation of all the pending decisions. Only through coordinated action and a sense of urgency can we deliver on our shared aspirations. Intra-SADC trade, particularly at these trying times globally, should be at the center of what we do. Trade is so key to regional development and industrialization that we should never again allow ourselves to fail to meet.
Now on to farming. The winter wheat planting window has been extended to 15 June, with more than 85,000 hectares having been planted so far, against the target of 120,000 hectares. Speaking during a field tour at Tyrone Farm in Goromonzi today, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Obet Chiri, implored farmers to cover the outstanding 35,000 hectares. He also urged farmers to follow the precautionary measures as guided by extension officers to ensure productivity and promote food security.
So we want to appreciate our farmers across the country, our wheat farmers. So far they've planted what they've never done before. 85,017 hectares planted as of end of May. And this is what we could count. We know that it's slightly more than that. This, remember, 3 years ago was the target. It's all we could achieve as the country. As a ministry, we are saying let's give the farmers a chance to keep on planting until the 15th of June. So farmers can now continue to plant. Those 35,000 hectares that are outstanding from our target, they can now be planted. And we are seeing farmers busy planting and catching up with their, what they'd not done.
Meanwhile, farmers are optimistic of meeting the national winter wheat target, with Masholand East province expecting to hit their target of 22,500 hectares. Now, at least 15,000 hectares has been planted in the province so far, with the Mash East Agriculture and Rural Advisory Services Acting Director Kalisto Masiwa encouraging farmers to wind up planting and be proactive to prevent pest-induced losses.
We also expect our farmers to be regularly checking for pests in their crop. But so far, I think most of our farmers are finishing off the plantings. We are encouraging them to finish off since our season, our planting window is actually tailing off. And we are saying to our farmers, this is a good season. We hope to get a good crop. Let's come in with our top dressing quickly as soon as we are done with the hardening.
Now, as the Bluff Hill community mourns the death of a local resident, Samuel Machara, aged 39, who was killed by his neighbor Mike Mupinga's pit bull at the weekend, calls have been made for stricter regulations or even a ban on pit bulls and other dangerous dog breeds. With Mupinga, aged 41, expected to appear in court this Tuesday to answer to culpable homicide charges, our crew visited the area earlier today to hear the community's concerns.
So this is the house where the pit bulls were actually kept. As you can see, this is the durable where one of the pit bulls actually jumped over. Now, according to witness accounts, the late Samuel Machara was taking a stroll from his house. Apparently, he was a neighbor to this particular house right here. So he was taking a stroll to come outside and get a smoke. Unfortunately, due to his family's religious beliefs, he wasn't allowed to smoke just about the gate or inside the house. So therefore he had to take a stroll and come over this area here. Unfortunately, it was then later that morning around 6 a.m. where he was found over there viciously attacked to death by a dog. Now this has sparked conversations amongst many Zimbabweans. Should Zimbabwe ban these dogs?
After 10 to 11 ndo ndakaparadzana na impassage mbamedu achida masitiki emechise kupita fochi but fochi kaiputiri mugeti nekuti isu tiri mapostori. Inini ndakatodaidzwa nemukomana wepa next zvinzi uyai muone mukomana wepampenya akarara apa asi akarumwa nembwa. Saka ndakazobuda tichinotarisa ndaifunga kuti kurumwa kwekuti munhu akwara tiende nemunhu kuchipatara. Saka ndakatobuda chinosvika ipapo tichiona kuti munhu apasisina kwakuchitongovhara kwakuenda kunoripota kupolisi.
Shocked, heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with these tragic loss, Agnes Kubenda, sister-in-law to the late Samuel Machara, shares her account of the incident.
Mukomana akaborwa kaita buri miri wake wangu akajikiwa hazvitsananguriki hazvitarisiki.
The late Samuel's relatives believe the owner of the pitbull failed to adhere to the pitbull's eating schedule, contributing to the attack.
Mukomana uyu muridzi wembwa akauya paside pamwe akanditi tete ndine urombo ndanzwa kuti ndimi tete wemwana uyu. Saka mufunge mbwa dzangu handaudzipa chikafu kuti ndakati hadzisi kukura. Saka ndakatorara ndisina kudzipa chikafu. Saka ndarara ndisina kudzipa chikafu ndakatozonzwa noise kuseni. Noise pakati kakanoise ndikati achii vandabuda nditozoni paitika dambudziko hombe rakadai so.
The tragic incident has sparked outrage, with many calling for changes to the country's bylaws regulating these beasts.
Chanachikumbira inango ndechekuti hurumende dai yapindira panyaya dzemapitbulls abviswa mudzimba. Community imbwa ngadzibvise. Boziri dangerous. Mwana chainokujikira payadi pako iwewe muridzi wacho chainokujika. Saka chinhu chakanaka here uchigara nacho chinzi peti. Hakuna peti yakadaro imhuka. Chinhu chakafanana nelion ichi.
Residents believe dog keepers should always adhere to the stipulated requirements and ensure they are well equipped to sustain their purge demands.
Izvimwe zvacho zvinogona kukonzerwa futi nenzara imbwa dzinenge dzisina chikafu. Imbwa yashaya chikafu inosvika pakuda kutoita hunhu kunenge huhu kututumira vanhu. Saka imbwa ngadzichengetedzwe kutokumbirawo nevamwe vese vanochengeta imbwa. Imbwa ngadzichengetewe honai zvadzazoita. Imbwa dzinokuitirai nyaya yekuti hamuzokwanisi kuipedza.
Experts say pit bulls require proper training and socialization to channel their agility and fighting positively. It is also believed that failing to maintain its feeding regime can be considered to be an angering factor.
Antelope park uko vanhu vanofamba neshumba. Why vachifamba nadzo is because of proper socialization. Sezvangotaura neSPCA kuti we need kuti vanhu vave neproper socialization. If you know that you're a busy person, don't get a high active dog. So go calm dogs like a Labrador, a golden retriever, those that can not deal nevanhu vakuti vanogara vari busy. Urogona kugara neyoyo.
Some countries have since outlawed the ownership of pit bulls, while others have restrictions, including keeping them leashed and muzzled in public places. Despite the concerns, it's still not clear how this incident will shape the country's laws.
The pit bull is one of the breeds that have been banned in a majority of the countries, and I think it's time that as a nation we follow suit, and we now need to take stock of the pet owners in our communities. We now need to take stock of the strays around our communities, and make sure that we are responsible as a community and we're responsible as a local authority, making sure we enforce the bylaws.
Authorities have stressed the importance of pet owners complying with bylaws regulating domesticated animals.
Local authorities have got bylaws that regulate keeping and movement of dogs and any other domestic pets. And as a ministry, we encourage local authorities to ensure that they enforce these bylaws diligently to avoid cases where improper handling of these pets might lead to cases where they end up harming the public.
This is not an isolated case. There have been a number of cases on pit bull attacks in the country, including the death of a 9-year-old and a security guard in Harare and another man in Bulawayo in the past 3 years. Bull bells, Jack Russells, pit bulls are now among the common dog types in Zimbabwe. But if left unattended, they can undo the belief that a dog is a man's best friend. For ZTN Prime, I am Sitachisiwe Gwaza in Harare.
And now to discuss K9s behavior, we are joined by Mike Meki, a dog breeder. Good evening, Mike. Mike, tell me, what's the typical temperament of pit bulls, trained or not, looking at the unfortunate incident that happened over the weekend?
Good evening, Wazanai. Thank you for having me. About pit bulls. Originally, the American Pit Bull Terrier was bred to catch hogs in pits. That's the name, pit bull. About the bull, it was a combination of bulldogs and terrier dogs. So they used them as sport to catch hogs in pits, and then later on they were used as fighting dogs. That's the reason why we find them being banned in a majority of countries. And about human aggression, if you check the ADBA breed standard of American pit bulls, it states that an American Pit Bull Terrier should have little to zero human aggression. It's not a catch dog it's not for man work, it's not a guard dog. You could actually get your property stolen if you have a pit bull in the yard, but it's animal aggressive. Yes, we were actually devastated about the recent incident, and condolences to the family of the deceased. But prior to that, there was negligence in handling the dogs. If we check the walling of the property, the dogs weren't even secure that much. And for any other breed, actually, people should secure their dogs so that they are not a harm to the general public, as we have witnessed.
Now, Mike, this dog in question was allegedly a crossbreed. What happens when pit bulls are crossbred with other breeds, and what are the potential consequences of such breeding practices?
Okay, about crossbreeding, yes. We could say when you are crossbreeding dogs, especially two or more breeds, there is a consideration about temperaments. That's the most important aspect. So if you breed a dog that's human aggressive and you collide with a dog that has tenacity, as a pit bull has got tenacity, and then if you mix it with a larger breed that's supposed to be human aggressive and used for man work, you will find out that when the dog goes for something, it goes with full tenacity because it constitutes of both the temperaments of different breeds. So we actually discourage people to crossbreed dogs, because these are the consequences of what happens when you crossbreed. Because initially, an American Pit Bull Terrier has got little to zero human aggression. It's not supposed to be biting people. It goes for prey. That's animals, dogs, and any other animals, as it was initially bred for hogs and all that. So there are actually challenges for crossbreeding dogs, especially when you have no idea of temperament and we're not using pedigree dogs that we can actually do pedigree readings to see the outcome of what we're actually crossing and what we want to achieve after.
Now, obviously, Mike, this incident has led to calls for banning pit bulls and similar breeds. What do you, as dog breeders and dog-loving community, think of such a move?
About pit bulls being banned, I don't think it's a quite fair decision to make towards a certain breed, because someone was negligent somewhere on handling the dogs. But what we can do as a community, as a pit bull community, is advocate for proper caring of the breed and also for the breeders. I think when you're purchasing a puppy for a pit bull, you should get it from an ethical breeder who breeds dogs with the correct temperament and with a proper background check, such that you don't succumb to situations of crossbreeds mauling people in communities, and requires us to license our dogs, and there is a number of dogs that's required as per certain per square perimeter of the yards. So I think it's unadvisable for an urban location for people to be having 2+ more dogs there. That's how dogs end up gaining up on people and causing problems. So I think if we regulate on that, people should at least own a small number of dogs and be responsible about it at the same time, especially with the type of breeds that we're dealing with. We're not dealing with those mixed breeds we're used to seeing roaming about the streets. These are actually purebred dogs that have got different types of temperament. So when you mix those types of dogs in one yard, you've got an expectation of what's coming. So I think it's unadvisable for people to be doing that.
Thank you very much, Mike, for sharing your insight with us here on News Plus. That was Mike Mickey, a dog breeder, talking about the general behavior of pit bulls following the unfortunate incident that took place in Bluff Hill. Now, when News Plus returns, we'll give you an update on the Zimbabwean records significantly dropping in maternal deaths.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela, kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze. Sekunjalo.
The National Social Security Authority, NASA, would like to inform all registered employers of the waiver of penalties related to the late submission of P4 returns. All employers with outstanding P4 submissions penalties for the period January 2024 to November 2024 are eligible to apply, subject to the following conditions: submitting a formal letter for waiver by 30 June 2025, uploading all outstanding P4 returns to current, settling the principal POBS and APWCS contribution and premiums arrears, updating employees' records to match active employees declared against employee listing. This initiative is part of NASA's ongoing commitment to enhance social security coverage while supporting employers facing financial constraints. For more information, contact any NASA office or numbers appearing on your screen. NASA, a lifelong promise.
Thank you for staying tuned to News Plus. This is the Monday edition. Now, moving on to health matters, Zimbabwe has recorded a significant drop in maternal deaths, according to new data from the 2023 to 24 Zimbabwe Demographic and Health Survey, ZDHS. The findings were revealed today at the ZDHS launch in Harare. We get more from ZTN Prime's Francisca Musheche.
In 2015, the maternal mortality ratio was 462 deaths per 100,000 live births. Almost a decade later, the figure has gone down to 363 deaths per 100,000 live births, representing a nearly 21% reduction. While the reduction is significant, the current figures fall short of the set target to reduce maternal deaths to below 70 per 100,000 live births by 2030. For authorities, the reduction in maternal death is a step in the right direction, a sign that targeted investment in maternal health are starting to yield positive results.
These gains are a testament to the collaborative efforts of government, our development partners, and communities at large.
Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency Director General Tafadza Bandama highlighted that this decline in maternal deaths is one of the several positive outcomes in the survey report, alongside notable improvements in contraceptive use and child nutrition.
For the development of any country, because without data you cannot plan for the population, you cannot plan for the infrastructure. When you hear about data, it's not only because of people. You cannot prepare or develop roads without looking into the population of the country. You have to know what what number do we have in the country.
The Zimbabwe Demographic Health Survey, conducted between December 2023 and May 2024, is the 7th national health survey since 1988. The primary purpose of this health survey is to provide current and reliable data on demographic and health indicators. This data is crucial for monitoring population trends, assessing the effectiveness of health programs, and informing policy decisions related to health, population, and related areas.
The results will also inform the development of both the National Development Strategy 2 and the National Health Strategy 2026 to 2030. The results will support tracking progress towards achieving SDGs.
Health officials attributed the decline in maternal deaths to improved access to skilled birth attendants, increased uptake of antenatal care, ANC services, and strengthened partnerships between the government and development agencies. USAID Mission Director J9 Davis believes more still needs to be done to achieve said targets.
That is a sobering wake-up call for all of us. It highlights some of the urgent gaps in child health systems and underscores the critical needs for coordinated action at every level: government, medical, and community.
Zimbabwe has set ambitious health targets for 2030, aligned with Sustainable Development Goals. With less than 5 years until 2030, the need to accelerate efforts to achieve these goals cannot be emphasized. The reduction in maternal deaths is evidence that it can be done, and indeed, it should be done. For ZTN Prime, I am Francisca Msheche in Harare.
Now, a Bulawayo man accused of masquerading as a medical doctor is expected to know his fate tomorrow, Tuesday, 3rd of June. Prosper Vanuon, who allegedly used the alias Prosper Mpofu, had his judgment postponed on Friday, with the magistrate citing delays by the state in finalizing the verdict. Vanuon is facing multiple counts of fraud and impersonation amid allegations that he illegally practiced medicine for nearly 2 years at Mpilo Central Hospital and at times extended his activities to United Bulawayo hospitals. Now, the state alleges that Vanuon treated patients, prescribed medication, and even performed medical procedures, all without the necessary medical qualifications or registration. And prosecutors say he misrepresented himself for financial gain, a crime under Section 136 of the Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act. Vanuon has denied all charges. Meanwhile, an anti-drug and substance abuse advocacy group, Heal Us Zimbabwe, will from today, June 2nd, embark on a 500-kilometer walk from Plumtree to Harare as they seek to amplify calls to end the vice. Heal Us Zimbabwe Executive Director Tapiwa Nyati told journalists that drug and substance abuse is now a national crisis, having spread to rural communities, and the walk is part of several initiatives to fight this scourge. Talent Gore gives us more.
A former drug user is stepping up literally to help fight Zimbabwe's growing drug and substance abuse crisis. Kudakwashe Mafuta once walked the dark path of drug addiction. Today, he walks with purpose alongside other advocates. He's trekking over 500 kilometers to raise awareness and fight the growing crisis of drug and substance abuse in Zimbabwe.
ndakapotsa ndatofa chaiko chaiko nematariswa ndazoreflecta takaunta malosses angu mumwe wangu achiwana dream yake kuti tatange organization iyo ndikangosimbisa idea yanga inayo.
Running under the theme, Together We Walk, Together We Heal, the initiative aims to spotlight the alarming rise in substance abuse.
Vanhu vakawanda macommunity medu matinogara vakaafectwa nemadrugs. Hakuna mafacilities ari friendly enough anokwanisa kubatsirawo marehab. Kwakaba mubatsirwa mwangu anga atori rehab inoenda vanhu vari mental. Saka advocate wemaproper facilities ekuti tiwane marehab chaiwo chaiwo.
With each step, these advocates hope to walk Zimbabwe out of crisis and into a future free from addiction.
Tava nedonzo rimwe ritsva rekureza mari yatoda kureza yekurefabhisha mafacilities atakapiwa neve-City of Harare, ve-Council, na resident minister tavengwa vakatipromisa kuti tiwane pane mabuildings atakati vanokwanisa kutipa
saka toda kureza mari kuti tikwanise kurefabulate those buildings for rehabilitation purposes. I think ndo agenda yedu yewalkathon yegore redu 2025.
HEOAS Zimbabwe Executive Director Tapiwa Nyati said by working together as a nation, they are showing their readiness to support the youth, families and the future.
And we had people saying that we are sure these guys are on drugs because you cannot be walking and sleeping outside for 22 days and yet you have got a house and everything. This is a cause, and they want to show the people in the community that this is real and drugs are real.
The walk from Plumtree to Harare would take several weeks, covering hundreds of kilometers. But for participants like Kudakwashe Mafuta, it's a small price to pay for healing a nation. For ZTN Prime, I am Talent Gore in Harare.
Cholera outbreak stretching Sudan's healthcare to breaking point. That story right ahead.
In the month of July 2025, the world will gather at one of nature's greatest wonders, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. From the 23rd to the 31st of July 2025, Zimbabwe will proudly host the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the Convention on Wetlands, COP15. This is more than a conference, it's a call to action, running under the theme, protecting wetlands for our common future. COP15 will unite 173 nations to address pressing issues, wise use of wetlands, biodiversity loss, climate change, and sustainable development. Together, we will explore innovative solutions, strengthen global commitments, and ensure wetlands remain vital for the current generation and those to come. Join us in shaping a sustainable future. COP15, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, July 23rd to 31st. Protecting wetlands for our common future starts here. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife.
You're watching News Plus, and we're coming to you live from Harare. Now, the trial of businessmen Moses Mpofu and Mike Chimombe continued today with the former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. John Basera, going under cross-examination again in the $7.7 million fraud case involving the presidential gold pass-on scheme. Dr. Basera claimed that one of the accused persons, Mike Chimombe, did not sign documents in the bidding process. More details from our Crime and Courts correspondent, Kimberly Chimbalanga.
Former Agriculture Ministry Permanent Secretary Dr. John Basera continued with his testimony, telling the court that Chimombe was not involved in the signing of the documents in the bidding process, although he attended most of the meetings. He added that the only thing that could link Chimombe to the documents is his surname, where one Tinashe Chimombe signed as a witness.
Now, it would be correct, therefore, to say from 3 September 2021, when you flighted the advert, up to the time that you made the announcement that Black Tech had won the tender, there was no interaction between you and the second accused. Yes.
Dr. Basera added that Chimombe's involvement was external, as he was always seen on contract negotiations. He further told the court that he attended one of the meetings where he saw Chimombe, claims the accused denied.
So if I'm to refer to the word which I used in the previous sessions, that's what I was referring to. It was more spiritual and physical indeed, no signature at all.
Dr. John Basera also said Chimombe's presence at the Chipinge God scheme launch links him to the offense. One of Chimombe's lawyers, Ashio Mugia, however, argued that there was nothing amiss for Chimombe to attend the event since he's a politician.
I can't know about my ranking in terms of being a witness. I don't know whether I'm a star witness. I don't know. Maybe the state can assist.
Yes, but
I'm a witness.
You confirm that your evidence is very crucial.
I suspect so.
The presiding judge, Justice Pisrai Kwenda, later inquired on the name of the company that submitted the bid and signed the contract, something the witness failed to remember.
So that your evidence somewhat meets the allegations by the state. That's the allegation. That is what I'm putting across to you. Why would you not remember who actually submitted the bid? Why are you not sure? And I'm saying the fact that you are not sure shows that you are being careful.
You think so?
That's what I'm putting across to you.
Okay, but to tell you honestly, I'm not being careful. I'm just responding, and these are things which happened about 4 years ago.
The trial will continue this Tuesday with more witnesses expected to testify. For the TN Prime, I'm Kimberly Chimbalanga in Harare.
We now take a look at what's happening in the world around us, and we start with a story on a recent invention. Sierra Leone entrepreneur Oswald Dundas is making waves for West Africa after inventing saltwater-powered technology to address poor access to electricity in his hometown, Freetown. Footage filmed shows Dundas demonstrating the process of activating his inventions, the Waterlight portable lantern and stove.
Waterlight technology was developed in 2018 as a result of the poor access to electricity. So there must be a solution, and that's where Waterlight technology comes in. The earth is full of 70% water, mostly seawater. And you'll be surprised to know that with just 2 tablespoons of salt mixed with the water for our devices, you will have almost 120 hours of light. So the entire device will give you about 600 hours of light, which is a huge difference compared to the existing solutions that they have presently.
Sudan is experiencing an outbreak of cholera as the dire humanitarian situation worsens amid the ongoing civil war and escalating Western sanctions. Now, what you're looking at is footage captured in Omadan showing makeshift treatment tents occupied by children, women, and the elderly suffering from the disease. Healthcare professionals can also be seen checking medicine and chlorinating water in an effort to control the spread.
مجرد ما ظهرت الاوت بريك او الوباء بتاع الكوليرا دي قمنا بانشاء عدد 8 عنابر للعزل بالمشاركه مع اخواننا في منظمه MSF البلجيكيه اللي هي المنظمه الراعيه للبرنامج دي. فاسسنا حوالي او جهزنا حوالي 8 عنابر، كل عنبر فوقه ما بين 10 الى 11 اسره لاستقبال المرضى.
The American State Department announced further sanctions against Sudan, accusing its government of using chemical weapons last year in its conflict with the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Now, UN reports indicate that the cholera outbreak, officially declared on August the 12th, 2024, has so far resulted in over 65,200 cases and 1,700 deaths across 12 of Sudan's 18 states. Now, observers fear the timing of these sanctions may exacerbate an already critical humanitarian situation, obstructing the delivery of vital aid and restricting access to essential medical provisions.
من الحاجات اللي حتكون الفترة الجاية إن شاء الله حسب الإعلام من وزارة الصحة اللي هو التطعيم ضد الكوليرا، فالحاجة دي إن شاء الله حتساعد بقدر كويس. لكن زي ما قلت لك نحن كلنا كجهات منظمات مع الجهات الحكومية بنحاول إنه نقدم أحسن حاجة بنقدر عليها عشان نخفف معاناة المواطنين. لكن بتمنى من كل الجهات الصحية والجهات اللي عندها شغل في قطاعات تانية زي قطاع الواش وكده، لأنه معروف إنه وباء الكوليرا دائما بيكون في فترة الأمطار، وهسه الفترة دي جو قبل الخريف، فالناس يعني تتوقع إنه احتمال يكون في موجة تانية، فالناس تحاول تواصل الحاجة الكويسة اللي قاعدة تقدمها، وإن شاء الله يعني ربنا يخفف على المواطنين.
Now, on Sunday, Gaza City witnessed the direct hit of a residential high-rise building, which Palestinian media referred to as the missile strike of Israeli forces. We can actually see the moment of explosion of the building in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood, with plumes of smoke billowing and dust engulfing the area as residents fled. Locals were also seen sweeping shattered glass in front of a nearby shop, and media reported a series of Israeli airstrikes, noting that the Israeli Defense Forces had issued advance evacuation warnings to residents prior to the attacks. Now, moving on, a Chinese envoy has warned that escalating arms supplies to the battlefield in Ukraine will only heighten hostilities and prolong the conflict. Speaking at a United Nations Security Council meeting on weapons transfers to Ukraine, Yang Shuang, China's deputy permanent representative to the UN, said the Ukraine crisis continues to drag on with mounting civilian casualties, a situation that is deeply distressing and profoundly concerning.
战场上武器数量不断增加，致命性和杀伤性不断加强，这只会加剧对抗，延长战火，不利于促成停火止战，有悖国际社会的普遍期待。我们呼吁各方都能积极为和谈营造氛围、创造条件、提供帮助，呼吁冲突当事方共同致力于推动局势降温、政治解决，而不是持续地开展军事对抗和袭击。
The Chinese envoy also dismissed allegations made by the U.S. representative who accused China of supporting Russia's war effort, a claim he called utterly unacceptable and politically motivated.
如果我没有记错的话，上一次美方就同样的问题，以同样的叙事，在安理会指责中方，还是在今年1月份，在美国上届政府期间。 在过去的4个多月时间里，安理会多次审议乌克兰问题，美国未再提及这些情况，也未再表现出任何的关心。为什么事隔4个多月以后，美方今天再次老调重弹，又开始对中方进行无端的指责？美方在安理会里的表。
It's time for us to take a look at what's happening in the world of business.
Crowd goes absolutely emphatic. He has done it.
Get ready for more on SuperSport, the only place to watch all the FIFA Club World Cup.
Zimbabwe is bullish on its iron and steel industry with massive investments and renewed policy focus, signaling a bold new chapter for the sector. At the heart of this optimism is the Dinson Iron and Steel Company project in Manize, spearheaded by China's Tsingshan Group. Touted as Africa's largest integrated steelworks, the multi-billion-dollar plant is targeting an annual output of 1.2 million tons in its first phase, with plans to scale production even further. And speaking to European Investors Ambassador Christopher Muchangwa said, Zimbabwe is emerging as a steel powerhouse in Southern Africa.
There is a lot of convergence now from an economic cooperation point of view between South Africa and Zimbabwe. And one area which has come out clearly is the area of steel production, where South Africa now appreciates that Zimbabwe is actually miles ahead. And this also may be for the whole African continent, Zimbabwe, sub-Saharan Africa. We are miles ahead. Everyone should know, should need not be told that steel is to nations in terms of food to human beings. So the advent of the steel industry in Zimbabwe, thoroughly modern, already producing, is going to create conditions which will make Zimbabwe be much preferred as a destination of investment. You know, the index of a country's nation's progress is measured by the amount of steel per capita which that country consumes.
Now, Padenga Gold Mining contributed over $15 million in taxes to the government in 2024 as part of a strong performance that also saw the company generate $193 million in foreign currency earnings, according to its latest sustainability report. The report highlights a growing focus on environmental, social, and governance ESG standards, with nearly $1 million invested in community development, including education, healthcare, and clean water access. Now, CEO James Beer says the group employed nearly 1,900 people, with $34 million spent on staff costs and 76% on procurement directed to local suppliers. Beer also notes that $600,000 was spent to ensure resettlement at Eureka Mine met international standards, underlining the company's aim to align mine expansion with community welfare. Economist Blessing Nyatanga spoke on the importance of ESG reporting for investor confidence and long-term growth in Zimbabwe's mining sector.
In reference to Padenga Gold Mining, revealing that they generated 193 million in foreign currency earnings in 2024, which actually contributed over 50 million in taxes to the government. And this is in accordance to their latest annual report. Now, it is imperative.
And that's it for the stories on the economic landscape. But stay tuned to News Plus for sports updates. Now we start with our entertainment, and this past weekend was action-packed for merrymakers, both at home and in the diaspora. The excitement was palpable as various events unfolded, showcasing the rich cultural talent of Zimbabwe. On the local front, Alexio Kawara demonstrated that he still has the magic touch, captivating fans with a polished performance at the Zimbabwe German Society last Friday night. Dubbed Reboot, his playlist had the crowd on their feet as he belted out popular sing-along tracks such as Mskana Akanaka, Tinodanana, Chiwande Wande, Unombozviitirei, and the crowd pleaser, Shaina. Eurofilm Fest Zimbabwe turned Mbare into a movie where stories breathed and art walked the streets. This wasn't just a cinema, it was culture, creativity, and community on full display. Artists Mary Anibal and Othno Mangoma gave a performance inspired by the timeless classic Ndabaiwa at the 10th anniversary launch themed She Means Business.
Guma and Mary
going on. I'd say don't try to understand it, just feel it.
In another memorable event, Victoria Falls dance troupe Imvimbi Arts was crowned the provincial winner for Matebeleland North, earning the ticket of representing the region at the 2025 Chibuku Neshamwari Festival. This accolade was celebrated last weekend at Lenduluba in Wange, where Imvimbi Arts showcased the Umzansi dance, impressing adjudicators with their captivating performance. Jao Praiser thrilled fans in Germany with a stellar performance in Dusseldorf last Saturday. This concert was part of his Ndini Mukuze album tour.
enjoyed it. I was waiting.
The Grateful Experience 3.0 concert, organized by award-winning gospel singer Eliana Makombe in the United Kingdom, brought immense joy and unity to Zimbabweans in the diaspora. Eliana hosted an impressive array of performers, including Spirit of Praise, Everton Mlalazi, Take Sure Zama, Minister Michael Mahendere, Doreen Chikuni, Lebo Serobela, Sipos Ngube, Heaven Mutambira, Sharon and Elad Cherai, Fig Worship Culture, and Blessing Jethan. Warriors touchdown in Casablanca. That story right ahead. The local-based Warriors have arrived in Casablanca, Morocco, ahead of their friendlies with Burkina Faso. A group of 10 local-based players, plus Belgium-based Bill Antonio, left Harare on Sunday, along with the technical team, arriving in the Moroccan capital on Monday. The rest of the foreign-based contingent were expected in Casablanca late today. The Warriors play against Burkina Faso this Friday before facing off with Niger 4 days later. Now, struggling giants Dynamos and Highlanders played to a goalless draw on Sunday. Dynamos coach So Chaminuka welcomed the point as a small step in the right direction and asked supporters to stay patient and trust the process.
We've only played 3 games since I arrived. And if we were to play like a team that has dropped from heaven, people will wonder and say, so what was happening? I say, like I said, it is work in progress and we will get there. We, as a team, players, technical staff, are working and we are aware of what our shortcomings are. And it's what we are working on. But it cannot just happen just like that. It cannot just happen abruptly. It also needs time. And I am saying our fans must be patient. That time will come when we can play and win games that are exciting to watch. Play in games that we create our goals. That time is going to come. It's not far.
Now, despite dropping points on the road, Highlanders coach Kelvin Kayindu expressed satisfaction at the progress his fairly young team is making in the league.
I think from the team that we have assembled, like I said earlier on, I think we seem to be heading somewhere. We don't want to make so many changes. There may be 1 or 2 inclusions if somebody is going, because as a team also you plan that other teams will be able to get the players from you. But with the squad that we have, I think we are a bit balanced. Maybe with a bit of luck we may get 1 or 2 inclusions that can just come and help us.
Moors stretched their lead at the top of the Casablanca Premier Soccer League, courtesy of a 1-0 win over rivals Scotland at Ngoni Stadium in Norton on Saturday. Billy Veremu was on target with his 9th goal of the season as the Panthers moved 4 points clear of second-placed Zimbabwe.
As I said, it's like a Real Madrid versus Barcelona, and at the end of the day, I'm happy. Barcelona triumphed, and I think we told these guys that we know our strength. Let's play to our strength. They can have some stars, but what made us to be here today is the one who is above us, who is the Almighty, and then the element of teamwork, which was exhibited here until the death. You know, you as a coach are very much at liberty to try and have different combinations. Everyone who is putting on this Moors t-shirt is geared up to do duty when the others are a bit down, and I'm happy the youngsters have come to the party. Merit of the teams that came from Division 1 to the Elite League, they were starting a bit slow, and then could not find their way when things are hotting up in the second round. So we said to each other, guys, let's try as much as we can to treat every game like a cup final. And treating every game like a cup final is exhibited by these young boys day in, day out.
Scotland coach Tony Raina was disappointed by the result, but has backed his team to bounce back.
A very difficult game for us, very difficult. The body language was not correct. I'm very disappointed by the way the commitment was not there, if you ask me. I don't know what was with the boys, but the commitment really is not, we were not ourselves today. So from that end, I'm very disappointed. But credit to Moors, they played well. They took their chance that came their way and scored. And I think of the two sides, they were more. This is match day 14. Match day 14. So if you ask me, still early days. Still early days. They're going to be twists and turns in the games to come. So yeah, we just have to keep. We just have to go back and reorganize ourselves and do what we were doing before this game. But they still.
Norton residents who could not watch the Moors versus Scotland match live from Ngoni Stadium because it was sold out were treated to a watch party at Katanga bus terminus in Norton. The residents were excited to be able to watch the match, which was also live on ZTN Prime, on a big screen that was set up at the terminus.
Abana injofaza sekuti ukona mwana wese especially tutunana sina mari kwenda mu ground turi pa ground andika turi kuona ZTN yaunza zvinhu zvese zvinechi zvinoita kuti vanhu vafare kana bhora munoton rani mukurumbira mwana wese baba rakuzokura saka asingade kunyepa zvedu makudza bhora ZTN yaisa mbiri yebhora Mozi yaisa mbiri yebhora Scotland yacho yaisa mbiri yebhora.
Chiitiko chaitwa ichi ngachirambe chichienderera mberi, zvisaperere pano, toda kutoramba tichiitika. Nesu vamwe tisina mari tazowanikwa tiri pano, tingadai tiri mumabasa but tatouyawo kuTV.
Ende kana zvakadai tinotoseretwa nzvimbo yedu yenotonika tiri kusimudzirwawo zvikuru. Ngazvirambe zvakadaro ende zviende mberi. Asi kuda kuti zvidzokere mumashure ngazvirambe zvichienda mberi. Takuonawo bhora panzvimbo yanga tisingafungira tingakwanisa kuona bhora tiri pano. Dai tiri mumabasa but izvozvi tasununguka kuuya pajekerera kudai. Ground kwakazara, kupi kwese kwakazara. But izvozvi panapa katirikwanisa kuonawo bhora yedu mahara. Tichikurudzira vana vedu vemuZimbabwe nekutamba bhora kwavari kuita nevatisiriwo TV aiwa watati pamberi nedu.
Still on sport, Triangle eased their worries with a hard-fought goalless draw against Chicken Inn at Luveve Stadium. The match was Chicken Inn's third successive game without a win, leaving coach Joey Antipas to hint at attacking reinforcements in the transfer window.
We're just lacking killer instinct up front because if you look at the games that we are playing, we are dominating our opponents, but no goals to come. So we have to do something in the window, but in the window it's difficult to bring in quality players, so we'll have to see what we can do. As you're talking about the last 15 minutes, we put them under severe pressure. I'll say that the quality was not there, because at times you need some quality to finish off opponents who are stubborn as Triangle. We're still talking to one or two players. So for now it's very premature. So we'll just hopefully bring one or two in, because definitely we're struggling in attack.
And that's a wrap on News Plus this Monday evening. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night. I'm Watsanai Sansole.